What if everything you've been told about it, everything you chase, is actually missing the point? We're going to dive into the ideas of the ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle. His take on what it means to live a good life might just change how you see everything. We've all heard this line a million times, the pursuit of happiness. It's baked into the American identity. But if we ever really stop to ask what that word, happiness, actually meant to the people who wrote this, because they were reading guys like Aristotle, and their definition was a whole lot different than ours. So what is it we're all pursuing? I mean, today when we say I'm happy, we usually mean we're feeling good in this very moment. But for the philosophers who inspired the founders, that fleeting feeling wasn't even close to the whole picture. They were thinking about something much, much bigger. So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to break down our modern idea of happiness, then get into why Aristotle thought you can only judge a life after it's over. We'll look at what our ultimate goal really is, how we can choose a good life, and finally, we'll hit that really controversial question, is there really only one true happiness for everyone?
First things first, we have to completely tear down our modern idea of what it means to be happy. For Aristotle, it has almost nothing to do with just having a good time.
So on one side, you have our definition of happy. Feeling good, having fun, a momentary pleasure. It's a psychological state. But on the other side, you have Aristotle's idea of happiness. And for him, it's not a feeling at all. It's the quality of a whole life. It's the difference between a good moment and a good life. Now this leads to a pretty wild claim from Aristotle. He says you literally can't call a young person happy. And it's not because they're miserable, it's because their story just isn't finished yet. As Aristotle put it himself, a single life can be full of all kinds of changes and chances. I mean, think about it. Someone can be on top of the world in their 20s, have everything going for them, but then fall into terrible misfortune later on. That's why, for him, you can only really assess a life's happiness once the final chapter is written. There's this fantastic story from the ancient historian Herodotus that illustrates this perfectly. So you've got King Croesus, who is fabulously, unbelievably wealthy, and he's sure he's the happiest guy alive. He asked the wise man Solon to name the world's happiest person. And to his shock, Solon names some dead Athenian soldier, a guy who lived a good, honorable life and died a hero. The king is furious, and Solon tells him, "Look, I can't call you happy yet because I have no idea how your story is going to end." And this is the key distinction. Solon says to the king, "I can call you fortunate, for sure. You're lucky, you're rich right now. But happy? That's a final verdict I can only give once your life is over. See, fortune is what happens to you. Happiness is the quality of the life you've actively lived." Here's a really simple way to think about it. Imagine you're at a football game. At halftime, even if your team is up by 30 points, you can't say it was a good game, can you? It's not over. You can only say it is becoming a good game. Well, a human life is just like that. Until the final whistle, it's always in the process of becoming good. So if happiness is this final judgment on a complete life, what is its purpose? Well, for Aristotle, it's not just another thing on our to-do list. It is the final destination. It's the ultimate reason we do everything else. You can try this out for yourself with what's called the chain of whys. Ask yourself, why do you want to make money? Well, to be comfortable, to buy things. Why do you want friends? For companionship. Why do you want health? To be able to do things you love. But then, if you ask, why do you want to be happy? There's no next step. The chain just stops. It's the one thing we want just for its own sake. Everything else is just a stepping stone to get there. So this complete, final good, Aristotle had a word for it, eudaimonia, which basically means human flourishing. And it isn't just one thing, it's a whole life, made complete by having all the things we need to thrive as human beings. Things like health, real friendship, knowledge, wealth, and, most importantly of all, virtue. These aren't just optional add-ons, they're essential parts of a well-lived life. So if that's what happiness is, how do we get it? This is where Aristotle gets really practical. He says it all comes down to the choices we make, day in and day out. It all comes down to virtue. Now, that word virtue can sound kind of stuffy and old-fashioned, but for Aristotle, it was simply a practical skill. It's the skill of consistently choosing the greater, long-term good over the lesser, short-term pleasure. It's about building a good life, not just having a good time. Here's a perfect, everyday example we all face. Staying out late with friends, that's a good time. It's fun, it's a pleasure. But let's say you have a really important work tomorrow that's crucial for your future. The choice to go home and prepare, that's the choice that builds a good life. Virtue is the skill of navigating that constant tension. And Aristotle did not pull his punches on this. He said most people are slavish in their tastes, which is a fancy way of saying they're slaves to their immediate desires. Kind of like animals, they just chase whatever pleasure is right in front of them without thinking about the long game. And for him, that's exactly why so few people ever achieve true happiness. Okay, this brings us to what is probably the most challenging part of Aristotle's entire argument. In our culture, we think happiness is totally subjective. You do you, I'll do me. Aristotle would say absolutely not. His claim is pretty radical. There is only one true version of happiness, and it's the same for every single one of us. And why? Because it's based on our shared human nature. It's about what it takes for a human being to flourish, and at our core, we're all built the same way.
Think about a miser, a guy who dedicates his entire life to just hoarding gold. He thinks that's what will make him happy, but in doing so, he gives up everything else: his health, his friends, any connection to his community, the pursuit of knowledge. He might tell you he's happy, but from Aristotle's point of view, he is objectively wrong. He's living a stunted, incomplete human life.
And here's his final test. If something is a real ingredient of human happiness, it has to be attainable by everyone. Think about power over other people. By its very nature, that's competitive, right? If I win, you have to lose. Therefore, Aristotle says power can't be a part of true happiness because not everyone can have it. The real pursuit of happiness has to be cooperative, something we can all do together. So we're left with this really provocative question. The miser has all the gold in the world, and he tells you, sincerely, that he is happy. According to Aristotle, he's simply wrong. He's mistaken one tiny piece of a good life for the whole thing. So what do you think? Is happiness just a feeling inside your head? Or is it something real, something objective, that we build over the course of one complete life?
Thank you for watching the video. If you like the content we make, press like and subscribe to our channel.